Discussion on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. Okay. Good.
Thank you to everyone.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, those are that's the end of new business. Is there any staff report today, Peter?
No, Mr. Chairman, no update at this time.
All right, thank you, Peter. Okay, well, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn our regular meeting. And I guess we'll combine it and to commence our continuation of the budget hearing.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we adjourn the regular scheduled Board of Finance meeting and reopen under the 2024-2025 budget process.
Good. Thank you, Scott. There's a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, move on from our budget, our regular meeting to our budget hearing meeting. The received I'm not sure if the law department is here. I see John. I know he had a potential.
I'm here.
Okay, if you could take over for me at this point on this department, I'd appreciate it. Recuse myself.
Mr. Chair, sure. I'm happy to take over from there. What
Page
page are we looking at?
24.
Page 24? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I apologize for the dark vision of my camera. I'm in a parking lot. I have a 6 o'clock meeting, so your timing was impeccable. I won't be too late for my next meeting. Pretty much flat budget from last year. The only notable changes I think that you'll note in the capital outlays, we put in $12,000. This year was reduced by the mayor to $6,000. It's previously $4,000. That's for our actual paper copies for our statutes and things of that nature. We do have access to them online, so we're perfectly satisfied with the mayor's outlay. The one new item we had is our computer software docket management system. It's been a dream to get a docket management system. It will remain a dream. It's pretty expensive. We had requested $25,000, but I can offer this board, if you want to take the $1,500 that the mayor gave me, you can zero that out, because $1,500 won't get us anywhere, and $25,000 will get us started. But I'll live to fight another day. Maybe next year we'll get it.
All or nothing is what we're hearing.
It's all or nothing. Yep. We basically manage our documents like libraries used to do the Dewey Decimal System. We'll continue the old school way.
Just out of curiosity, the Dewey Decimal way, the old way, does that require additional staffing? In other words, if you had
no, it's just it's having it's like having the best versus what we can do. We can still do it. It's just it's efficiencies. It's not additional staff or anything of that nature. It's just and we're a relatively small office. But if we had 20 lawyers and someone said, "Oh, I'd like to find the letter regarding that zoning permit," I could go in a new document management system and search it by subject matter, address, and find it. This way, our current system is a little more cumbersome. So there's efficiencies to realize, but I don't want to undersell the potential investment, but we're fine.
Understood. Thank you. Anybody else have any
Mr. Chair,
questions?
Mr.
For the
Chair?
speaker? Go ahead.
Mr. Burcham,
Mr. Arnold,
would that be possibly a recruiting tool if you were looking to hire a young lawyer? Would they be dissuaded by the fact that you don't have an electronic system?
we have an electronic system. We have a current document management system. It's just it's more cumbersome than they constantly evolve. So our system is it's not like an AS400 printer, but it's updating. We could improve upon it. I don't think it would be a recruiting tool. I think recruiting tool is more on our online research capacities, which we're on par with as if we were a private practice firm. We still have those. Our online subscriptions are satisfied. So no, I think the parking spot at City Hall is the best recruiting tool we have.
Okay. Is there any risk of this current system being outdated or unsupported?
Not currently, Mr. Arnold. It may eventually, and that's frankly several years ago. Our current document management system we invested in, and that works and is being supported. But the reason we got it is because our prior system was outdated, not supported.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other questions for the city attorney while we have him?
I got a list.
Nice.
We'll start at the top. Go ahead.
I'll let you off tonight.
Thank you.
All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I'll hand the reins back to Chairman Lima and
Thank you,
thank
Scott.
City Attorney
Chairman
Bertrand for his
Bowman,
time
thank you.
today. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item on the agenda, Recreation Department, page 82.
Hello, everybody. This is Bill Garfield. I'm like Chris Saley of Black Box. I tried hard not to increase too much. However, we were kind of up against it with a few things, that being our electric budget, our seasonal temp, and our fee paid officials. All three were grossly under the line. So I thank the mayor, Peter, and Justin for working with us and trying to get as much juice out of the orange as they could and helping us. Just to quickly go over where I'm at with my electric, my current budget is $20,000. I've already spent just shy of $32,000 this year, with 4 months to go until the new budget. So that was just bleeding. It needed help and attention. Fee paid officials, I tried to increase that. Again, with the mayor's help, we got it up a bit, and that's a great problem. It's just the growing leagues that we have and paying officials. We really haven't gone up in our fees for the officials. It's just been a mass growth, which is great. We're playing basketball summer, winter, fall, and the leagues. I'm sure you've all seen behind the library in the summer and the gyms in the winter. So it's a good thing to have the kids out and playing. And lastly is our seasonal temp. And that needed its increase because we really were reliant the last few years on the ARPA money, which is just about out, and all the minimum wage increases are about to bite us. So we're going to be a little bit behind in that. We're going to have to get creative to get through the year with all of our camps, our buildings, Camp Happiness, the beaches, etc. But we've been working on creative ways to make things work. Other than that, we stood pat.
Great. Thank you for that information. Any questions or comments from the board?
Through you, Chair. Thank you for that. I will go on record letting everybody know that my son's 8th grade rec team, the Knicks, were rec champions this season.
Did you go up against the Ben Blake Pelicans, or?
We went against the Pelicans. Those guys are tough. And
There'll be a little tension in the neighborhood then, huh?
Yeah.
it was right down to the wire, but a well played game by both teams. So thank you. But yeah, great programs. Everything's great. Do you have an idea, and I'm just trying to thumb through the book to see if there's anything in there. What kind of revenue does the rec department bring in? You know, you've got all these leagues and everything. What kind of revenue do we see from this? Do you know?
Well, in specific to the programs that need money, we don't bring in a tremendous amount. We flip it right back into the program. One of the creative things we've been doing is we've been using our fees and flipping it back into our payroll. We did that with our adult softball this year. And we're probably going to do that going forward with basketball, just to kind of keep balance and keep us kind of above that equator of sinking. Like anything, some of our programs are do pretty well and some do not. I'm sure you guys all heard the fun with the gardens. That's one of the losers we have out there, and we've got some winners that balance out when it's all said and done. But you know, overall, I think if we just keep kind of playing the game of balance, we keep moving forward.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hey, Bill,
Anthony.
just to echo Scott, you guys really do some great programming, great facilities, all the parks and playgrounds, and of course our beaches. So is the garden issue, was that increase in the other supplies and charges line?
That's
Because I know you
paid
had to
for
pay
through a
some.
lot of different things.
Okay,
A lot of different things.
got it.
You know, at the end of the day, it's all recreation. So, you know, my goal, whether right or wrong, is just to stay level across the board. I think we've done that for the most part. I'm not picking on any one thing and saying this is a winner or a loser, but you know, some are learn to swim does quite well. We know that, right, Lauren? Some
right.
others not so well.
We're number one.
That's it.
That's all I was hoping for. Okay, thanks for saying that. Now we
Yeah.
can move on.
Well, Lauren, thank you for bringing that up, because actually, I have a question. On the revenue side, last year we budgeted, I think, 60,000 for recreation fees on page 7. This year we're down to 25. I see the projections only 22. Is there some explanation for on the revenue side as to what's happening?
I believe some of that was it's there. It's just in a different way. Partly some of the beach fees slid over towards the police department because they have a parking system that people can use. So we've seen a dip in that. The city, it's still there. It's just in different ways. There's two ways to pay for parking, which we're trying to correct going forward. But this year it was a little different. We've also shifted a couple programs and changed some things. But again, we're trying to find a lot of creative ways to get to the finish line here, and I'm still trying to do so. With 4 months to go and the electric and things like that, I think that's the simplest answer is it's tight. It's very tight.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. I guess what I'm trying to understand is, like, this year's budget, recreation fees, 25,000. Is that just pure, like, if my child or wanted to play in the rec basketball, we pay a $20 fee or whatever the registration fee is, and if any, I'm not even sure these days, but is that what adds up to the 25,000, or is there some other source of that revenue?
No, that's it. And what we're doing now is we're trying to give as much as we can to these these teams, these players. We're incorporating uniforms in the fees. We're trying to mainstream all that. We're getting a lot of the kids showing up ragtag. So we buy all that in the fee. We incorporate that into the fee. So some of that revenue's dipped because we're, I guess, giving more, if that's the right way to describe it. But we're trying to clean our leagues up and make them, I guess, more professional. We got a lot of work to do with our referees still, as I'm sure Scott can attest, but we're working on it.
Okay, thank you. And then the beach parking, maybe this, maybe we can address this with the police department, but that's not administered by your department, the beach parking fees, that's a separate line item that comes from the meters?
Well, the meters are separate from this and goes into the general fund. But we are working with Justin and with the police department, and we are going to shift. The PD has a more current beach parking system. So with Jay Craniac, we've worked with him, and we're going to be shifting it to that system to save the city money. And the old meters are going to be taken out as they are no longer viable and continue to break down. And when we try to get them fixed, we were told they can no longer be fixed. They need to be either replaced or taken out.
Well, Peter, maybe this is a question for you though. Again, I'm just trying. So on page 7, we've got beach parking revenue of 185,000. Is that revenue that comes if I pull in? I'm a non-resident and I pull into the Walnut Beach parking lot and I pay my $10 or whatever it is that the fund that it goes into, or is there, or where does that money end up?
No, you're correct. It goes into that line item. So that the Walnut Beach, for example, all those parking meters, I believe that all flows into this account.
So the parking meters as well, it's not just the cash that goes to the call them the kids running the booth, it's also the street parking meters?
Yes, I believe so, yes.
Because we've seen between the two fees there, we're down almost $100,000, at least on paper.
Yes, when we approached the police department and also recreation, and they looked at their projections for this new year were down compared to last year. And probably because for lack of a better word, they were trying to be more conservative. And I think in prior years we saw an uptick, but with some of the changes, and perhaps the police department can speak to this later, but looking at the situation for the new year, they came down to some extent on the estimates.
Well, I would think maybe if you could park at Silver Sands for free, why wouldn't you just park and walk over, right?
Right, that could be part of it as well. Yes.
We've also changed some of the rules at the beach, which I think has cleaned up a lot of the past issues we've had, and also the interim mayor's decision with the beach parking stickers. That's increased more resident parking in the lot, which has changed the fee structure a little bit too. So we've done some things that maybe we've seen a couple small hits, but I think overall the beaches have improved vastly and become a much more family-friendly place again.
Excellent. Yeah, well, that's obviously the goal. So I just trying to get a sense of the revenue side of things. Thank you all. That's very helpful. Okay, anything further on page 82, Recreation Department? Okay, we'll move to page 20.
Thank you all.
Development.
I'm sorry, Brian, did you say police department?
Oh, Chief Mello, not quite. I said community development.
I'm sorry, I apologize, Julie. I was on the phone. Okay.
Thank you, Chief.
I'm going to
Chief,
disappear.
if you want to go, go
We've
right
been
ahead.
talking about you, but you're not up yet.
Hi, everyone. Julie Nash, Economic Development. Thank you for your time once again. The budget is flat, although you have two requests in here for a salary increase and a request to upgrade the part-time clerk A. Those are both rescinded, so please don't consider those at this time. We are doing the best we can with what we have. We have year-over-year business growth. Outside of 2021, which was due to the pandemic, we have recovered. Just to give you an idea of what that means, in 2021, where we had a dip, we were at about 303 businesses, and we are now back at about 541 and growing. We don't have the final numbers for 2023, but our unemployment numbers are at 3.6 right now. We are in our happy place, I'd say, is our high twos, lows threes, and we're kind of fluctuating between the two. The highest number we had over the past several years was 11.1, and that was during the pandemic. So we are recovering nicely. And we're doing the best we can. I am open to any questions you may have.
Thank you, Julie. Good to see you. Is there any questions or comments for the Economic Development Office? Right. Okay. Thanks for all your hard work.
Looking good, Julie.
Thank you all. Have a good night. Appreciate it.
Good night. Thank you. Okay, I see Kara is here for MGAT, page 16.
Hi, good evening to the board. Again, the NGAT budget this year is a flat budget. With that budget, we're still producing about 130 meetings and events for the city and for our channels each year. The committee is very excited about our work. We'd requested an increase this year to expand our coverage. We were inspired by the boards and commissions hearing last fall, seeing the great work of so many of the commissions in town. We'd love to add more to our channel, add more community events. If this isn't the year, we hope you'll consider you consider an increase in a future year. We're really fortunate. We've developed an amazing team, and we really want to keep them. They're streaming this meeting now. As you know, it's a competitive market for producers and live streaming, and MGAT is a place where people tend to learn these skills and train up and then go elsewhere. So we requested an increase to try to keep up with the market and try to expand coverage. But again, if this isn't the year, we can still put out the same great work and hope again next year. But for now, it's flat, and we look forward to continuing to serve the city. And I'm open to any questions. So.
Thank you for all your hard work as well. Is there any questions or comments for regarding MGAT? Okay, thanks again. Moving on.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Kara.
Here we go. The Kingdom of Woodmont, page 88.
Oh boy.
The Kingdom of Woodmont. Things are well in the Kingdom of Woodmont. I just got I got some good news. Jim Maliko's wife actually gave him one more year on his contract. So instead of him retiring in October 1, 2024, it's going to be October 1, 2025. So we were all really happy to hear about that. We are looking for a 0% increase. We're going to stick at that 265. We have a couple of projects that we were working on. We were hoping we put together a plan for the Belmont Street drainage groin, which is a groin that was owned and built by the city. I believe it was in 1978, and it's been in dire need of repair. We now have a shovel-ready project approved by DEEP. We have the COP. we thought that we were going to have money left over in our COVID money, but they're just for the project. I don't know if Chris. I don't think Chris is on. We've talked about it. It needs cofferdams. It's going to be closer to north of a $500,000 project, and we only have like 250,000 left on that. So we're going to put that into street paving on Kings Highway, which is the last street that needs some serious paving. So we're going to put that into that, along with some other funds that we still have left over. But that's basically it. We do have another new contractor for grounds maintenance and that sort of a thing. Marin Brothers Landscaping. But everything is doing really well in the borough. Any questions?
Thank you for that presentation information. Certainly, it's a wonderful place. Is there any questions or comments regarding the borough?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Ed, good to see you. I'm just curious, and I just don't remember off the top of my head. Does the borough ever have a surplus? Like, do you guys ever have more, or are you guys pretty consistently running at a bit of a loss?
Well, we do have reserve funds that we put away for projects like sand replenishment. We did a sand replenishment project.
But Ed, just in terms of like the use of the borough, the sand replenishment is often funded by separate borough taxes. So as a practical matter, the answer is any money that is set aside in reserves is earmarked for specific projects. And like this Groin project, if there's any money that's left over at the end of the year, it would be put in the reserve, which now frankly has only about $17,000 in it, to go towards projects, capital projects like that take more than a year to amass funding. It's only recently we've been operating at a deficit for a number of years, but it's only recently that we're about close to break even. So I guess to answer your question is that we have enough, but not a lot.
Yeah, understood. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Just what I can certainly recap to refresh everybody's memory. What we do is we do all of the snow plowing, street paving, grounds maintenance, storm drains. We had 4 storm drains that needed to be replaced, rebuilt. Anything that the city does regarding public works, that's what we do in our 6 miles of roadway. And remember, we're our shore community, so we get hammered, especially that the Crescent Beach section. It used to be a few times a year that Jimmy would have to go down there and clean up. And I would say he's probably done that a half a dozen times just since Christmas this year. It's been an extremely rough winter storm season for us. So every time he goes out there, that's not part of his regular contract. Those are extras. So we do tend to we do burn through that money fairly quickly. And I know Chris and his predecessor Bruce Colwitz have always said that for the same amount of money, if the borough ceased to exist, that the city would not be able to cover those expenses if they just transferred that over to his budget. The other thing is, every time I do renew contracts, especially the big one, which is with Malico, I always run it by Chris, and Chris always says, let me see, now this is just for snow plowing, right? And I say, no, Chris, this is for everything. He says, oh my God. You know, Chris, oh my God, there's no way I could do, I could barely do the snow plowing. Was that a good Chris Saley impersonation?
That was the best.
Yeah, that's a good one. You're too calm, probably too calm. All right, anything further?
Thank you both.
All right.
Thanks,
Thank you both.
everybody.
Okay, moving right on to page 92. Boys and Girls Club. Hi, Megan.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks for having me tonight.
You're welcome.
So
Is there anything
we
you'd like
are,
to say? I mean, we're familiar with all the good work you do down there, and I'm not sure if there's anything new you'd like to fill us in on, or
I will keep it nice, short and sweet for you guys. We are not requesting an increase this year, though we are serving more kids than ever. This year we have served over 1,200 kids in 2023. So every year we see consistent growth. And we have plans to continue that growth with a big focus on our teens in the upcoming year. And we're so grateful for your continued support and what you've been able to do and your initial investment in the Boys and Girls Club, which allowed us to be here and to grow to this level. So thank you.
any questions or comments from the board?
Hey Megan, just the after school programs, are you in more buildings than you were last year? I know every year you seem to be growing, like you said.
Yeah. So this year we serve kids from Orange Ave, Mathewson, Meadowside, Pumpkin, and JFK, all at our Simon Lake building. And then Live Oaks, Calf Pen, and Orchard Hills are still school site based.
Okay.
I do think when kids get to come to the clubhouse, it's a much better experience. They're outside of their school. They can be a little louder. They have more room and space to do things. It just doesn't make sense to bring kids all the way from the far side of town to that Simon Lake Club. So the only program that we transitioned this year was the Orange Ave one is now at Simon Lake. We are also we do have additional sites that we just opened actually last week, and I'm really proud of them. So kids from West Shore Middle School and Jonathan Law High School are going to the West Shore Recreation Center where our teen program is housed. But the new programs this year that I'm really excited about, we just started a program at East Shore Middle School as well as Harborside, where we're doing financial literacy and workforce development with 30 kids at each of those schools. So we are literally in every school other than Florin right this second, but don't you worry, some of my staff go to Florin, so we still have kids from over there.
Great. Thank you.
Of course.
Hi, Megan. Quick question. Of your overall operating budget, what does the $100,000 represent as a percentage of your overall operating budget?
Well, I'm really bad at percentages off the cuff here, but thank you. So our budget right now is 1.7 million. So
I could do that on my own. Thank you. The math. Thank you. And it's amazing to see the club grow like it has. So thank you.
We're really appreciative of everyone's support here in this meeting and the community as a whole. So thank you. And our goal is to never raise our membership fees, or if we have to, just at very small increments, because we don't want to burden the families when everything around them is raising so fast and furious.
Good goal. Wish we could have the same one.
I challenge my board.
We
every
have the
month.
same goal. It's just a little bit harder to meet it, I suppose. Okay. Thank you, Megan. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night.
You too. Thank you. Okay, moving along, page 27, Department of Permanent Land Use. I think I saw Mr. Griffin here. Griffith? Hi, Joe.
Hi, good evening. Yeah, my name is Joe Griffith. I'm Director of Permitting Land Use, and this year we're presenting our budget. It represents a $8,200 increase on a $1.2 million budget. We've made some adjustments to our operating expenses, both up and down. They net out to about $2,400 reduction. Another decrease that we've budgeted on is a $4,500 decrease in our overtime budget. The increase comes with contractual salary increases. So the net increase is net increase is about $8,200 over last year. As with previous years, we continue to have a vacancy in our department for a building inspector. We continue to run ads, but as we've discussed before, the market is out there, and there's a lot of competition to fill this position. Also, we're continuing to. I should note our staff is doing a great job in keeping up with increased demand. I believe our revenues have increased over the past year by about $200,000. It's primarily, I mean, again, we're maintaining the level of work that we're doing to issue permits both through planning, zoning, inland wetlands, and the building department. But I think it's more attributable to just the cost of construction. Our permit costs are tied into the applicant's declaration as to what the cost of construction is. We have established certain specific minimums in terms of what we'll accept as far as a declaration for construction costs. But beyond that, it's just a question of the applicants being honest when they come into us. And as I said, the cost of construction has increased over the past year, and hence our revenues are increasing. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions or comments with the director?
So through you, Mr. Chair, just to clarify, so I understand. So in the budget, you have two building inspectors, building inspector A, building inspector A, but currently one of those spots is vacant. So you only have really one. Is that what I heard?
I believe in our budget right now, we have our, I am the city building official, then the chief building inspector, Charlie Carell, and then our two other building inspectors, Ray and Lou, our building inspectors A, and then we have a vacancy for, I think it's listed as a plan reviewer. We have been advertising for a licensed building official, though.
How long has it been vacant?
3 years.
Thank you.
Sorry, any further questions or comments? Okay. Thank you, Joe. Have a good evening. Appreciate your work.
Thanks very much for your time.
Okay. Now, move on to page 43. Police Department. Welcome, Chief Mello. How are you, sir?
I'm well. How are you, all of you?
Good. Good.
I just wanted to begin by saying that I thought Ed Benessi's impression of Chris Saley was spot on. I really enjoyed that.
You should get him on here for an encore. Where do you
That
go?
was good. It was really good. I've seen other people do it, but not as well as he did. Brian, I can't hear you. You're muted.
I said, I think he had the hands, the motion in the hands helped.
Yeah, the nonverbal was really was good.
Okay, well, certainly if you'd like to make a presentation, you're welcome to, or we can open up the floor.
Sure. I just wanted to point out, you probably note that the patrol cars are back into the regular operating budget, which represents money for 6 patrol cars. We have always had patrol cars. Mayor Blake, I believe for the last 5 or 6 years, funded them out of the vehicle acquisition account. But I just wanted to point out that they've always been funded through the budget, just in a different category. So those are there. And you'll also note that there's an additional request for an additional officer. You may recall that 2 years ago, we submitted a budget proposal for 4 additional officers. We presented an argument with data supporting that argument to both you, to the Board of Aldermen, and to the mayor. Last year, we submitted a proposal for 1 officer for 4 officers, but we pushed it out to be 1 officer per year for 4 years. We received funding for 2 additional officers last year, and that one of those officers is in this year's budget to keeping in line with that I believe commitment that was made back then. You'll also note that there's funding for our 2 licensed clinical social workers. You may recall that 2 years ago, we hired 2 licensed clinical social workers. Their salaries were funded through ARPA, and that ARPA money dries out. And I also want to just, if you don't know, remind you that in 2020, part of the police accountability bill, there was legislation that required police departments to look into the feasibility, actually to develop a feasibility study and a plan to implement social workers into police departments. And there were a couple different models available, but this was something that was required through legislation. We were early on into the game, and we had submitted a proposal back in 2020, so it was advantageous that ARPA money became available. This is not just the future of law enforcement, this is law enforcement. This is what it looks like today. And most law enforcement agencies today do work with licensed clinical social workers, either on staff or via contract through another agency. And so that request for that funding is in there. That program is fully operational. In the last 2 years, they've had 651 clients for over 3,200 interactions, which is the initial meeting and then follow-up interventions, and everything from domestic violence, victims of serious crime, elderly services, mental health intervention, juvenile issues, recovery and addiction, social service, elderly services, homelessness. We use them for a variety of issues, and it really is what public safety looks like today and will continue to look like in the future.
Right.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to the chief. Thank you, chief, for all that you do and all the officers too.
Thank you.
It's tremendous service. The 2 social workers, do they go through the academy, or like, do they come out as?
No, they're not police officers.
No, so they're just.
Right. They're licensed clinical social workers. They've had a body of work before we hired them, and they report to our administrative division. We try to, while they work with police officers, we try to keep them separate from the operational divisions.
Understood. Thank you.
Now, quick question on the officers staffing, staggered hiring or addition. I do recall the commitment, and it certainly makes sense, but is this only the 2nd year we're into this? I thought we were farther along into the hiring than.
No, last year we added 2, and so there was a discussion, if you recall, last year to hire all 4, and I reached an agreement at that time that we would with Mayor Blake, that we would do 2 last year and 2 this year. This year I put in for 1 additional officer instead of the 2, because we were at the same time asking for the social workers to be funded. So I've stretched it out over that 2-year period. So this would be the 2nd year, but the 3rd officer.
Okay. I was thinking we were farther along. And then just a quick follow-up on the social workers. So they had previously been funded by ARPA, and now they're clearly within our budget now. They're switched over from the funding to the budget.
That's correct. The ARPA funds have dried up now. We've completed that.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions for the chief or comments?
Hey, Chief Mello. Who was that? Scott?
Yeah, sorry, you can go ahead, Lauren.
All right, yeah, just again, thank you for all you do and all the policemen and women out there in Milford. I saw we're putting in for some drones. Is that a new, all departments need to get those, or?
Yes. So I'm glad you asked that. That actually replaces one of the drones that we did have. We crashed it, and it was an older drone, about 6 years, and It's we couldn't repair it. But drones are a big part of law enforcement. In fact, if you look at today I saw a legislative proposal where the state is looking at providing additional funding for drones. It's something that most police departments have, all should have. And I just give you a quick example. We use drones for a variety of things today. When we have street takeovers, we have a drone that's in the field, and we have right now 14 pilots. That drone goes right up in the air, and it's able to keep an overview so we can see what's going on. And just as important is we can help identify people that were involved in that. In fact, while we didn't use drones to identify people in this last takeover that was at the Stop and Shop where the officer was injured, we've made 8 arrests on that. When we had advance notice that we were going to have, nearly 1,000 people show up at Eisenhower Park, at Walnut Beach to cause problems, our drone was in the air. We put our drone in the air when we're looking for a missing person. The drones that we buy, they're pricey because they're more robust. They have not only do they have night vision, they can see heat signatures. So if somebody's in the woods or something, we can see them just through their heat signature. We use them for things like the Oyster Festival. Whenever we have a critical incident at a building or at a home, and I'll give you the last 2, for instance. We had a report of somebody that was going to do harm to him or herself, and they had a weapon. Before we went in, prior to having drones, we would go in. Now we put the drone up and we look in the windows, and then we open the door and we put the drone inside. We have a small drone as well that can function inside a building.
Wow.
And so we can see what's going on. And we were successful in finding a person that was in a home, said that he had a weapon, but we could see him, he didn't have a weapon. So we were able to go in and take custody of him. So we use them for tactical purposes. We use them for search and rescue. And so that's part of our drone program, which we will continue to advance. I will also tell you that some departments, the future of drones, are using drones as first responders. Now, we're not there yet, and I don't know if it's necessary in Milford, where they have like a little mini airport at the PD, at the roof of the PD, and that drone goes out, and it's on a GPS coordinate, it goes right to where that location is, and it takes an overview, and it will hover. In fact, if you look on YouTube, you'll see somewhere in this country where there's a report of a man was in front of a store with a gun, and the police were being dispatched. But the drone went there and saw that the person was mentally ill, didn't have a gun. It was a cell phone, and he was waving it as if it was a gun. And the drone got right there and was able to communicate with him. If you Google that, you can see it. So yeah, drones are a big part of the operation now. So thank you for the question.
Oh, thank you for those examples. Yeah.
But I just, through you, Mr. Chair, Chief, I just have some questions around the like overtime. I see that bumped up a bit. Holiday bumped up a bit.
Sure.
Vacation relief. Can you just add some context to that? Why we see a little bit of a jump in those?
So if you look at our overtime account, my request was based upon what we had used the prior year. And all of these wage accounts have the 2.5% GWI built in. The mayor's recommending $850,000. Now if we look at how much we've spent in the past, we know that there's going to be a deficit there. But we also know that there's going to be openings and there's going to be surpluses in the regular wage account. And every year, we're able to take money out of the regular wage account and transfer into that overtime account. So when I complete my budget, I look at what either those fixed costs or those projected costs are going to be. I don't request money based upon where there may be surpluses, but when we sit down with the mayor, and that's one of the things we go through is, can we historically have been able to fund this with surpluses that we're likely going to have? And so that's when we get into the weeds there. And so that's why you'll see that number is 850. But again, looking further to the left column, you'll see that in 22-23 weeks, we had a $953,000 overtime expense. And I don't have the figures yet for this fiscal year, but in 22-23, that was the number. So when we submit our budget, we go over the last set of data that we have. And in talking about holiday pay. My request is based upon 22-23, where we spent $722,000 for holiday pay, factoring in the GWI of 2.5%, and I come up with a request of 640. So we know that based upon past history, we're likely going to have a $100,000 deficit. But again, we also know that there will be, historical surpluses in the wage account, and we will transfer from the wage account into that account. And I point out, we have never, since I've been chief, ever come back and asked for more money. And we fund what we think provides for a strong law enforcement program. But at the same time, we always have returned money, not a lot of money. We pretty much spend what we have, but we don't spend what we don't need to spend. And we continue to look for efficiencies all year long. And so that's again, when I sit down with Mayor Giannatasio, as I did with Mayor Blake and Mayor Riccitelli, that's when we start to dig into what those surpluses have been and how we can fund those by bringing those numbers down.
Thank you. And to your point about 2022-23, the expense was 953 and change.
Yes.
And then it went down. I mean, is it relative to, we had fewer officers available to us in 22-23. So of the officers that were here, we were asking them to work more overtime. And over the last maybe 2 years, we were able to staff up a little bit, or is that not an accurate comment?
No, that is accurate. We've had a lot of openings, and whenever we have openings, we have to fill, we know by contract, at least we have to fill 66 2/3 of those openings. In the summer, we have to fill more than that because we need the staffing. So we will spend more overtime. We'll have additional surplus in the wage account, but we know that we're hiring people back at time and a half, at least 66% of the time. And so we're filling those vacancies. So we're still spending a lot of money when you assume they're working at time and a half, but it's certainly less than 100% of what it would normally be if we had a body. And we are, and I'm glad you brought that up. We just graduated 9 people in our academy. We hired 3 laterals. So we put 12 people on recently, and we have 6 in the academy right now. So we're in pretty good shape. And that will reduce the amount of overtime that we'll need, because it'll reduce the number of vacancies. So it's a very good point.
That's good to hear, especially in today's day and age that people are joining the force. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been a challenge.
I bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we remove the radar speed signs? I think those are
Yeah, I was just going to ask a question on that, Scott. Are those the permanent signs, or are those the portable ones that you move from location, or?
Oh, those are both.
Both?
We always try to keep some in the inventory when we have problem areas. The ones that are temporary, we put it just to kind of collect data and just to alert people. But we've seen more and more areas that are requesting permanent signs. And we still have 2 in the inventory, so we're still in pretty good shape right now.
Right. And then just, you mentioned the cruisers, but refresh my recollection. The 300,000 or 290 is, how many cruisers roughly is that? Is it 3 or 4?
No, so that'll give us 5 to 6 cruisers. We never know how much they're going to cost. They've gone up, so much. The difficult part about cruisers is when you switch over from model year, you have to buy all new equipment. It's about $35,000 per car. So those cars are costing about $80,000 fully equipped. If we don't have to buy new equipment and we can reuse the equipment, we're still talking about $65,000, if not more. But that money just
projected maybe hopefully five to 6 cars out of those funds.
You're right, and we have another way that we are the changeover. We use the private duty funds, the surcharge that we get on renting cars, to pay for those changeovers and that equipment. At least most of it. Actually, we'll be challenged this year because that account doesn't have enough money in it right now. But
well, I did see the strobe light bar line item. Is that all? Is that for
That's for 6. I'm sorry, that's for 6 strobe lights. They're $11,000 now.
And that would be for the new vehicles?
Those are for the new vehicles.
Okay. Thank you. Any further questions or comments for the chief?
Are the computers also more specific to the new vehicles?
No, those computers we had a replacement cycle where we would run those computers every 4 to 5 years. We have to replace 40 computers because the new software doesn't run on those. So we were buying a lot of older computers, some refurbished stuff, and so now we're going to replace 20 this year and 20 next year. That's the reason for the increase. However, there will always be a line item with computers because we're replacing about 5 to 6 a year, just because they tend to become unserviceable. But that represents new computers, 20 new computers.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any further questions or comments. Appreciate your time, Chief Mello. Have a good
Thank you,
evening.
everyone. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Last item, I believe, is animal control, page 59. Want to hear from animal control?
Yeah, I'm here. My name's Scott. Thank you. Basically, the budget, I'm keeping the same. There are a few additions. The secretarial fees went up to accommodate the new rules on those. I am requesting an increase in the electricity budget. The state is now mandating that there be climate control in all kennels. I don't have any historical data to know how much that's going to go up, so I'm just requesting $1,500 more for the year. And then, of course, heating fuel going up. I'm just requesting $1,000 there. And then pretty much everything is as it was.
Okay, thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just so we're clear. So under the overtime, your original request was 20,000. Mayor recommends 10,000. So you're in line with the 10,000 request, because you noted that
Yeah,
basically flat. I mean, that was really one component that put you a little higher than flat. So just so we're clear.
yeah, we're going to use the orange money that we get to cover half of it. So should be good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Scott, I think we need to put you at the beginning of the agenda next year. Poor guy. Every year.
Oh, the park people are the ones that appreciate it the most. They lock me in.
Oh. Oh, right. Oh. They got to get you out before they close the gate.
That's right. Okay, well, I appreciate it. There's nothing further. I think that's the last item. We didn't have anything continued, right? We hit everybody. Anybody have any closing comments before we recess? Questions? I think we're going to see each other all on Wednesday night with a highlight, Board of Ed.
But Mr. Chairman, it is with great regret I will not be there on Friday night. My presence is needed at Kath Penn Meadows' Willy Wonka Jr. Production. I do apologize to you guys. You will not see me on Wednesday.
Well, hopefully you have the lead.
I lost out to a third.
You'd make a good Wonka.
Sounds like Justin has the golden ticket.
That's right. Maybe he has the golden ticket, right? Well, thanks for letting us know, Justin. Enjoy. Okay, we'll have a
Brian, just a couple of quick reminders. Marianne asked if you could send her the signed transfers along with the signed bond letters.
Yep.
Tomorrow.
I will.
Okay.
Probably do it first thing in the morning because I'm hungry.
Perfect. And And as you all know, just a reminder, the meeting on Wednesday will be in Parsons, room B,
Yes.
conference room B, in
Peter,
person.
thank you for that reminder. Yep, we'll get to see everybody in person like the old days.
Yes, thank you.
And that is at 5:30, correct?
Yes, 5:30, conference room B in Parsons.
All right, perfect.
Any pastor dares, Peter, or we just, no? No,
That's all right.
I recall that years ago, he used to have food for us, but okay.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Maybe another time. Thank you.
I'll make a motion that we recess, Mr. Chair, until Wednesday, February 28th, where we'll reconvene in conference room B at the Parsons, starting at 5:30 p.m.
Thank you, Scott. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Lauren. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Aye. Motion passes unanimously. We'll see everybody Wednesday in person.
All righty.
All right.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, Megan. Good night.